Last time on Jujutsu Kaisen, both Itadori and Sukuna have a talk, and for a reason that wasn't explained, Sukuna decides to revive Itadori. On the other hand, the guys who were at the restaurant literally start incinerating people left and right. And then at the end, Gojo Sensei tells Itadori how binge watching movies can actually make him stronger. Now, I know I skipped last week's episode and I apologize for that, but hey, let's talk about the 7th episode. The last episode ended right when Gojo Sensei was confronted by that special grade curse spirit, who for some reason, despite being warned, thought it was actually a good idea to try to go up against Gojo. That's right guys, we finally get to see our boy Gojo in battle. The battle has only just begun and the cursed spirit guy already throws an enormous flamethrower at Gojo Sensei. Of course, since he doesn't look like a major villain, he thinks he has already defeated the legendary Gojo Satoru. However, Gojo Sensei himself isn't impressed. Now guys, ever since we first saw Gojo going up against Sukuna's first finger, we have been waiting for something like this to happen, and this episode was it. I kid you not, this anime only continues to get better and better with each episode as new characters are getting introduced. It is gold, but it is still going to take a little bit of time before it is neck to neck with Demon Slayer. Alright, back to the fight. After seeing that huge flamethrower and considering how this cursed spirit can talk, Gojo Sensei deduces that this one is stronger than the current Sukuna. This is where he also admits that he has started to find this fight fun. So it begins, Gojo Sensei versus smug yet ugly looking cursed spirit. He attacks Gojo with a bunch of noisy bees which does no damage, but then he makes them explode, kind of like how ninjutsu works in Naruto. This attack is followed by an attempt to light Gojo Sensei's face on fire, and then he forces an extreme amount of energy into Gojo's back. This works and Gojo is done for, or at least that's what the stupid cursed spirit thinks, until of course Gojo Sensei shuts him up with one of his smug remarks. That enormous attack was nothing to Gojo Sensei. Now at this point, we are a couple minutes into the fight, but Gojo still hasn't shown us what he can truly do. That's right, he is toying with that cursed spirit. Even though it is as strong as 8 or 9 of Sukuna's fingers, he is still nothing compared to the man that is Gojo. Gojo Sensei explains to him how all those substantial attacks didn't even hit him, and this is where the anime introduces a very interesting trait of Gojo's prowess. Between him and the external world exists a field called infinity. He is also kind enough to properly explain the concept to that stupid curse spirit by a visual presentation. He invites the spirit to touch his hand, and this was the moment when the cursed spirit realized that no matter how strong he is, he can't even touch Gojo Satoru. Right then, Gojo grabs his hand and bestows a very serious blow to his stomach, which probably shook the living daylights out of him. I am telling you guys, Gojo Sensei is starting to give One Punch Man vibes. We are gradually introduced to a bit of Gojo Sensei's power and it is badass. He converges some infinite energy into a small red orb and then sends the cursed spirit miles away. From there on out, it's just Gojo Sensei playing around with this little guy who thought he could actually take down the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer there is. Still though, by this point, even he has realized that he can't touch him. But as he is getting up and thinking that he should just drag Gojo into his domain, Gojo Sensei had already headed back and even brought Itadori along with him. Of course, this does surprise the little spirit, but Gojo Sensei explains that Itadori is just here to observe. He proceeds to tell him that there's no need to worry, and then he just slaps that cursed spirit with a "you're weak" insult. This literally breaks the little guy. It hit him even harder because he had already realized just how powerless he was up against Gojo. Itadori on the other hand is just surprised because he got dragged into this without any prior notice. Anyways, the guy just flips out and uses his domain expansion, which takes all of them to a hot rocky place with lava and stuff. Gojo Sensei takes a moment to explain to Itadori what a domain expansion is, and how the domain he experienced before at that curse room incident was an incomplete domain. If it had been a domain like this, all 3 of them would have died. He also tells Itadori about the 2 ways one can counter a domain expansion. You can either go outside the domain, which is usually impossible, or you can lay out your own domain. In that case, the one that is more refined will dominate the space, rendering the inferior domain incapable. And now, it is the moment we have all been waiting for. Who would have thought that we'd get to see it so early on in the anime? Gojo Sensei actually removes his eye mask, and his eyes are glorious. It seems like he has special eyes, endued with Jujutsu energy, which could also be the reason why he keeps them covered. Anyways, after removing his eye mask, he uses his own domain expansion called Infinite Void. And just like that, everything around them becomes infinite. The cursed spirit is enveloped into everything, even space and time itself are converged into a single void. But since he now is inside Limitless, there's nothing he can do. There's nothing he can perceive. It's all a big limitless void. Hence the name Infinite Void. Once again, Gojo Sensei takes the time to explain his domain expansion to the cursed spirit, and then he pulls off his head. The domain also ends right there and then. Another cursed spirit, along with the guy who looks like he's an obvious imposter at Jujutsu High School, appears to be observing all of this from afar. The other spirit then comes in and saves their guy before he meets his end by Gojo Sensei's hand. Later, that same school imposter guy uses an anywhere door, and we are taken to another interesting character. There they talk about how they'll implement their plan in sealing Gojo Satoru on October 31st in Shibuya, which will probably happen during the exchange event. Overall, this was a very good episode. We got introduced to Gojo Sensei's power, and the anime is also not being cautious about showing us the imposter, like the guy who mentioned he can't let anyone from the school see him, which is an indication that he is in fact the imposter. But will Gojo Sensei and the others realize that there is an imposter among us? We'll most likely find that out too by the time it's the exchange event. Now, the animation of this episode was insane. They literally didn't shy away from changing the color schemes during the subtle transitions, and the visuals for Gojo Sensei's domain were just brutally stunning. I am so looking forward to the exchange event because MAPPA is obviously not pulling back on the quality of this anime. This anime is definitely going to be one of the new Shonen Kings soon enough. So there you go, guys. This was the 7th episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. What did you guys think of it? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember, it is a great way to earn some good karma from the universe. Well then, I'll see you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.